Whenever you open one of these datasets that comes from a government department, they normally come with a contents page. This will help you to be able to navigate through the different tables that are included. In tables 11, 12 and 13, we have information on gender that's broken down by different regional areas. Just a little note here, if you click here, nothing will happen. That's just because the link is only live under column B. The countries and regions are always in the same order. It starts with England, which is then broken down by region, and then the devolved nations appear at the bottom. One interesting thing to note straight away is that there are actually more female employments eligible for furlough than male employments. This is an interesting statistic in itself because we know that there are more men in the workforce overall. I want to work with the most up-to-date data, so I'm going to look at the information from February. I'm also interested in looking at the information for Yorkshire because that's my local region. I can see that the female take-up rate in February for furlough was 14%, which was actually lower than the national take-up rate. But along with the national trend, the female take-up rate was higher than the male take-up rate. That gives me the start of the picture, but now I want to get a little bit more in depth. So I'm just going to click on the next table, which will take me to local authority and gender. Again, the regions are laid out in the same order. You find that the unitary authorities come first, followed by the two tiers of local authority. So now I can start to see that there are some differences. I'm going to scroll over to February again. And here I start to see that the picture becomes a little bit more nuanced. So while the female take-up rate in Yorkshire and the Humber region was lower than the national average, we can see that within York, the take-up rate was higher, and the same is true for men. If I want to get even more detailed, I can then go to the Parliamentary Constituency level. I can see that within York Central, which is the city of York, the female take-up rate was even higher. And this is where your local contextual knowledge comes in. I know that that's probably because York is a city that relies heavily on the service industry and tourism in particular. And here is the data set for the Self-Employment Income Support Scheme. As always, it opens up onto a contents page. To do the local analysis, I'll need to look at Table 4 or perhaps Table 5. Let's start by looking at Parliamentary Constituency. These Parliamentary Constituency codes are very useful when you're doing longer term data analysis, but right now I don't need to see them, so I'm going to hide them. I'm just going to keep the information for York. If we then look at the figures for the male and female take-up rate, we can see that Yorkshire and Humber overall had a male take-up rate of 67% compared to a female take-up rate of 62%. Again, this is in line with the overall figures for England at 68% and 60%, but then if we look at York Central, we can see that that difference is even bigger. 70% of men made a self-employment income support scheme claim compared to only 60% of women.